Yes, so hi, Aditya and Nirmala from Kindness Unlimited. Welcome to CollarCamp's community ships interaction. Uh, I so wish that we could have you could have come at CollarCamp property and we could have interacted physically, but then, not an issue. Since long we had been, waiting. I had been personally waiting to speak to both of you because the work which you are doing is so very deep and I feel so connected to it. And deep down, there are a lot of things I want to do, but then due to certain restrictions and situations, I so wish to get associated, even, post this call. Yes. So thank you very much, firstly, both of you.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
for
having us.
having us. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
very interestingly said. You know what? That a lot many things that you also want to do, a lot many things you all want to do. I think the lady sitting with us here, she started all of this so long back, and I think we are all late to the wagon, but probably right in time for ourselves to get the hang of at least taste some of what has been done so far. That's a beautiful journey that Kindness Unlimited has in itself. That's itself is very, very motivating. It has survived an unkind, harsh world for so long.
Right. Right. So Nirmala, you are the senior most, not age-wise, but experience-wise. So let's start with you. How has been your kind and unkind journey, and how this all how this kindness unlimited has been conceived?
So I founded Kindness Unlimited in 2005, and it's been a long journey. I was very, very busy in the corporate world when I chose to be one of the founder trustees. So Kindness Unlimited ever since has been a voluntary run body which uses various people's gifts that they give to the movement. So, if somebody is a photographer and comes to us, our task is to find the right opportunity to be kind for the photographer. Somebody is a graphic designer, someone's a content writer. Everyone doesn't have money. We have become so narrow minded in our view of giving, right? So, giving is not just cash, cash is an important component, but we all have gifts and we cannot give what we don't have. We can give what we have, and but we have to realize that it's a gift, right? So I think Kindness Unlimited started with that. Mr. Kalbak, who that time was in his 70s, was a scientist when he met me. And what really attracted me was the definition of kindness. Because the definition for kindness was balancing self interest with the greater good. You must look after yourself while doing good. And if you don't look after yourself, it leads to a lot of negativity, and both professional and personal relationships will be affected because I cannot let somebody take advantage of me and remain kind, because there will be that bitterness inside, right? So Adam Grant, who's from Wharton, he calls it givers and receivers, then he calls it givers and takers, because there'll always be a taker who wants to extract more value from you than you can give. And every time you're engaging in a relationship with a taker, you may give because you have no other choice. But the minute you have choice, you will hit back. And we've all seen businesses collapse with that model, right? So, Kindness Unlimited says it's a sustainable philosophy, it's a life skill. And if people, especially in India, develop more of it, and jate jate kuch karo ya, you don't have to make a big thing of giving. I have, so I give, right? I cannot give water from an empty cup. So, one of the things that I really like is that example of the aeroplane. That when I enter and they say oxygen is less, I would love to be this great saint and say, no, 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 all of you all should take the mask. But if I put it, I can help far more people. So this was the philosophy we kind of had newsletters, we had email communication, we had a website, we spoke in schools, we did value education training for teachers. That was the journey when we started, and now we've kind of moved more into projects. So we have Project Nashta, we have Plant Kindness, we are into planting 4 lakh fruit trees. We are into buying nachni from the farmers and giving it back to their kids. We are into continuing an Instagram and a Facebook and a blog journey. We are into continuing getting youngsters to volunteer with us joyfully. you know we always check on our volunteers, because if they are not here joyfully, we haven't been a kind place for them. So, and everyone in this movement is free to remind one another when we are not kind. Aditya has full permission to tell me when I have not been kind. That's the culture, because I'm human and I may snap and I may forget, but I need other people in the team to say, hey, hold it. Right? Unless you have that culture at home and you have that culture at work, you don't allow people to give you feedback. And when people cannot give you feedback, you not grow. So that's why it's a life skill. Of course, we meet unkind people, and the exciting part is how to respond to the unkind. And that's a skill. You would have unkind people at home. I meet so many mothers who are all the time giving and giving and giving, but they are unkind to themselves, because one fine day they'll snap, one fine day they'll be depressed, one fine day they'll have a breakdown, and nobody has even noticed. You're not getting an award for being the best mother in the world or the best wife. You are here to look after yourself and encourage other people to also do their bit, right? So it's a very complicated subject. I can go on and on. It's about, you might be a dog lover and you might want to give, rightfully feed dogs. But I would say, in kindness, are you cleaning up after that? You can't leave it and then put it in front of my building and allow flies and other things to happen to me, because you come and fed animals near my building. So this is a so I talk to all kinds, right? I talk to people who love something and who don't like something, and we are that body that is saying there's something in between, and both have to give and take and understand the other's perspective, and they should encourage dialogue. If and a last very important thing that I've started talking about is the golden rule versus the platinum rule. So I would say, you should treat me the way I like to be treated. It's such a lovely, pompous rule. Every religion will say, wow, 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 right? But how about treating you the way you want to be treated? Nobody is bothered to find out how the other person wants to be treated. And so it's not easy, because there's always a challenge. I want to be treated in a way, you may want to be treated in a way. Can we understand? It's never the same, but can be dialogue. You can come to my house and you may say, you will just put the chappals in and everyone in my house doesn't. But what is that adjustment? There are various things when you delve into this philosophy, which will make all of us realize it's a lifelong sustainable philosophy for relationships and for many other things. And the final thing I'd say, even UNESCO, MGIP, and the UN has decided that without kindness, you will not get the 17 Sustainable Development Goals going. And that was a hooray moment. You're talking of poverty, you're talking of water, you're talking of big things. How do you expect to get any of that without compassionate leaders? Leaders who are not thinking of the community in which they're working for. You may think I need toilets, but have you spoken to me? Have you checked whether there's water in my village? Have you checked how far you built the toilet from where the women have to come? No, you just felt a project ho gaya, tick mark kiya, khatam. Right? So I think I've given you the gist of everything in this monologue. I'm sorry about it. As Aditya says, Tai, please stop, be kind to others. Okay, so I stop.
You have to stop. Yeah.
Well, you can just go on, and I'm sure I can, relate each and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
It must be a long journey for you.
yeah. And I'm excited when people like Aditya and the youth are joining, right? For me, that's the
Mm.
exciting part because it has to move on to them now. And it's the baton has to move there. And once they are taking it, that's where I'm fulfilled. I tell my generation, please die with your prejudices. That's my wish for my generation. We have too many prejudices. Die, please, with that. But leave the youth to think, to be critical thinkers. And so, Kindness Unlimited being a youth driven movement is my dream. And same for the World Kindness Movement.
Wow, that there is so much to do, so much of kind moments we see in every day. At least we do, 10 kind things for yourself. That is what I think the whole motto has to be for everyone.
Right.
So
And I think,
Aditya,
Priyanka, yeah, I just wanted to add on to
yes.
what I just finished. I mean, so if you look at the movement today, people like us who have had a corporate stint want to go out and start something of our own far off land. We do not want to engage and interact with people and places that are already saturated, right? We don't want to go to Bombay and start a business. No, we don't want to go to Delhi and start a business. No. So when you travel and you see, find a lot of small organizations. People have come out of these places trying to build something from the scratch, and there's a community actually here of entrepreneurs uh, who have moved out to the hills, who have moved out to the coastal areas, trying to build something from the scratch that has much more meaning in terms of their own existence and in terms of the knowledge that they have acquired. That it's only in harmony that probably you'll find peace within, because ultimately it's about peace in the world. It's about peace inside, right? So everything is driven by a very singular motive, which is always within, right? And I feel that the if you are kind inside, whatever you do, whatever you touch, it's like the Midas touch will turn into something which is kind, right? And fortunately for me, that I found Thai, and we connected, and we argue. So that I was also going to tell you about that. You should come to our arguments, and you will also get some interesting insight as to how to argue with kindness. I mean, it becomes heated, but but you argue
Wow,
with
that
me,
is interesting. That is
right? That is
interesting.
something
I
that
would
you need
want
to
to
learn.
be a part of this conversation when next time it happens. How to have a kind argument, huh? Or a kind debate.
Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
wow.
right, like first you put her in the pedestal, right? You said that you are one of the greatest, one of the eldest, one of the most experienced, not in terms of age, but in terms of whatever. I'm like, I don't care. See, listen, this is wrong. This is something that I don't understand. Why are you saying whatever you're saying? Right? So I did not, I will never be disrespectful in the way I do it. But I will never put you in the pedestal. That's being kind, because that's where I can have a conversation. The moment I know, oh my God, I'm talking to the president of the World Kindness Movement, that means I should behave myself. And, maybe she knows everything I don't know. So there can never be a possible outcome that we want to achieve. Maybe, maybe I have something better to share. Maybe I'll never be able to express my desires. That, there is a way that we can possibly look at this. The scope of idea, the scope of doing something more goes off the moment we put somebody in the pedestal. So we don't put anybody on the pedestal, number one. Like, yeah, you may be Ambani, you might be owning Reliance, but hey, listen, dude, this is what something you don't do right. But the idea again was that there are two ways to do it. Either you go against them, go take them to the court, sue them, fight against them, you know, or you start talking to them, tell them that why I feel that this should be changed. Either you go into complete movement and agitations and whatever, or you take this route where you can actually find a space where you can talk. Now, this is a kinder approach. Otherwise, I will constantly keep fighting, right? Because I also need reliance. I need reliance because I can talk to you because they exist, and that credit has to be given to them, right? But how do we also then talk to Reliance and say that, hey, but you put that tower near a hospital where there are patients and they're suffering? It is not kind to put a Reliance tower near a hospital because there are people who are suffering. It might impact their health. Right? Can I have this conversation? Can I have a space where I can have this conversation? I think Kindness Unlimited is one such space, very rarely that you come across and find that where you can have this conversation, that you can have Reliance to come to you and talk to you and tell them very honestly that, hey, I like your service. You have the best 4G internet in the world, but the tower is not doing justice.
Yeah. So I think what Aditya is saying is about you cannot drive anything innovative with a culture of fear. So if the people in our team are afraid of us, we won't have anything innovative come out of it. And we will not be able to walk the talk. And we're always checking ourselves in our own behavior. Because it's very easy, for a parent also to say so many things, you should not lie. Who cares? The child is seeing, are you lying? Right? So it is always the challenge is walking the talk, right? As much as I may be a leader outside, I have to check myself, how am I behaving in my family too. These are very difficult tightrope. You have a face outside, you have a face inside, and if they are not aligned, somewhere the cracks fall through. And I don't say it's easy for everybody, but it is something that if it's there in your back of your mind, right? But you can have a very senior person who doesn't deserve your respect because they behave so badly. And you can have a 20-year-old who deserves a lot of respect because, he's so worthy of that respect. So we have to challenge some of the things we do blindly.
With these years are very difficult with respect to the pandemic, and there are so many situations outside which has made us question the whole situation, or question our own life skills for that matter. Okay. So initially during the school days, it's always, it's always taught to us that we have to be honest. You have to be polite with, whoever is around. But I think this is the one important thing, that the quote called honesty is the best policy. It must be changed to kindness is the best policy, because I see that that is something which everyone has to, get accustomed to. And I think it should start with home, and it should start with the parents itself, because now when I am a new mother, and I know, as you said, there are faces outside, there are faces on Instagram, there are faces off screen also. So not the whole day cannot be spent being kind. That's highly impossible. But we can start with home, we can start with our team members at least, wherein we, for certain situations, we can start with by being kind to yourself, taking time to breathing in. And it's a practice, but how do you manage, because being in hospitality, even we have a lot of customer interactions, so we face unkind situations most of the time. That is when our intervention starts with. So if you can, help us with some quick things, we can take a pause about in a day.
So, Priyanka, this definition of balancing self interest, right, with the common good is the sustainable definition of kindness, not the dictionary definition of kindness. And this is something that young people are taking to, not the dictionary definition, because our definition is different from the dictionary. I say balance self interest And that comes because every one of us is selfish. We have to acknowledge it, right? It is the survival of the fittest. But what the definition is saying, while looking after yourself, there is much you can do. Because tell me, what is the opposite of this, right? Our first logo was there's a person walking on the tightrope holding a stick. So, that Dombari in Marathi, you say those girls and little children would walk on the tightrope with a stick. Now, why is the stick like this? Because even if it goes like this, you'll fall this side or that side. So, the opposite, Priyanka, of selfishness is greed. And that's where society is moving to. And that's what we are saying. Because either you have people who will give everything and get burnt out because they, I don't know, they don't know any other way. And you have other people who have become so greedy, they just don't care. And that occurs for business too. So every business is looking at people, profit, and the planet today because now people are saying that I can't just look at quarter to quarter results. I have some other responsibilities as well, right? In in the hospitality industry, if you ask me, how do I, recycle? How much plastic do I use? Do I encourage people to use the towel or the bed linen more than once? All this is where you can get good business. At the same time, your customer is being trained to think so many liters of water goes to washing one bed sheet. I mean, it's an awareness. It's not just about money, right? And if you allow us and you're staying for 2 days, we would be happy to change it, but you would be saving this many liters of water. So it is how you communicate that message of balance. And I think it requires some amount of thinking, some amount of reflection. Aditya and I know I'm having this huge customer battle with a courier company. Let's not get into the details. But the minute a customer feels the organization is taking you for granted for no fault of yours, there is anger that rises. And if you, as a brand, can sense this before it happens, you are a world class brand. We are not at all interested on the feelings of the other person, right?
Absolutely.
And the other person is also not interested in you. Then what happened? You know, just because I pay, sometimes I think I can shout, I can scream, which does not help connect with your employee who's on the shop or on the front desk, right? So, for example, let me give you a restaurant example. I'm very unhappy, let's say, with the quality of the paneer palak or whatever that's come. Now, if I was in the kindness mission, the first thing I'll take a deep breath because मुझे मालूम है कि गुस्सा हो रहा है. Then, when I take a deep breath, I'll think of options. By shouting and screaming, and who am I shouting at? The lowest level employee in the organization, who most likely has nothing to do. He's not even made that dish. He's only the messenger, right? When I take a deep breath, I always ask myself, what are the options in this situation? And to be kind is to look at options and not just react by the first thing, which is the reptilian brain having a hijack. The reptilian brain of all of us can have a hijack. But the thing is to have and to say, should I just go and calmly tell the manager, rather than make a scene and say that I'd like this dish to be replaced? And if he doesn't listen, then what's my second? You don't have to press your foot on the gas all at once, right? You go slowly, 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 and then there's a chance. People feel today that unless you shout and scream, you will not get things done. So brands like yours have to find a way to, manage that and to manage that thinking and to preempt what the customer is thinking before the customer, So if a customer, somebody is not there at the airport, somebody is not there, you got to know that a customer doesn't mind you making mistakes, but a customer is very upset when you don't acknowledge your mistake. So at the same time, you have to decide how much, and look at Airbnb, look at what these platforms are doing. They are allowing a rating of a customer, and the customer is rating the flat owner as well, right? To me, it's a kind system. What does an Uber app do? If the person is drunk, and I can write there, right, this driver was drunk. It's allowing a transparent recording, and if the Uber sees 3 customers have said it, then maybe Nirmala is not making it up, right? So how do I have transparent systems? All these are kind ways to move ahead, Priyanka.
Right, and I also feel, with the kind of idea that you guys work, which clearly says you co-live, you co-work, you co-study, this is a co-space, this existence, a space of coexistence. So even if I have come to your property and I have booked myself a place, I'm only not only responsible for myself, but also the person who is next door because I'm sharing this property with somebody. Right, and I think what the hospitality industry has slowly moved into, more comfort, selling more comfort, selling that you pay us 20 grands a night and this is yours, you do whatever shit you want to do. That kind of liberty, that so much of valuation has been given to money and not to the coexistence of the space. I think to bring back that culture, it is very, very important that you make it a point that this is a co-living space. It is not about, I am feeling all right, so I will jump. No, because the next person might not
Yeah.
appreciate that, right?
So,
So when
Aditya, to go back to your point is about enforcing systems. So when the hostel says it's a no sound between 7 and 12, it has to be enforced, otherwise you're not a kind space. Just because you got dash 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 entering and he's supposed to be a big politician's son, if you allow that, you would lose me for life.
I mean, very
Because,
recently, Salman Khan's strategy in the airport, CSF officer stopped him and asked him to please take the usual way
yeah,
out.
so the
He
point
came,
is, without taking any names, Aditya, the
yeah,
question is, do I balance? I look after myself and I care about others.
yeah.
And how does the brand be? I know organizations where when they say they will start a program at 6:30, they are there at 6:30, and I am never late for their programs because I know they do it. And other people walk in 1 hour, 2 hour. Who's responsible? The brand is responsible because it doesn't start on time, so it leaves, and अल्टीमेटली अरे इनके साथ वो बोलेगा एक तो आप कभी भी आ सकते हो, कभी टाइम पे होता ही नहीं. We all with our behavior, we create an image, and a brand is a story which is very much because of our behavior, and we can't expect great brands to happen unless we have consistent behavior. And when we mess up, we say sorry, we replenish, even if it is a loss to us because it has gone against the brand value. So these are not easy because as a startup, as a brand which is struggling to make a name, right? But I think it's sustainable only when you say this is a value and you live by that value. Otherwise, a mission vision statement में क्या मतलब है? You can pay consultants, much money to write that and put it on the wall, right? वो quality का क्या मतलब है? When the minute someone enters, they don't see quality of any kind. And our idea of quality is very warped. We don't look at it in a holistic way. Quality is every single, for quality, talk of brand Disney. Why would Walt Disney teach and train customer service across the world? Because they've kind of reached that level of Magic Kingdom means Magic Kingdom. You have to feel magical. They live up to it. So that's what you need to at least aspire to have.
Wow, that's so beautiful, Nirmala. That is really amazing. As in, you know, there's so much. You know, I would want my team and even myself to learn from you, right? From hospitality to the restaurants which we have, and the whole communityship of CollarCamp. This initiative is about welcoming everyone. So even when you have a pet, and then when we say that okay, pets are allowed, pets are our guests also. That is something, a kind attempt from CollarCamp to our guests. Or if there is a community, irrespective of the caste or a gender, or irrespective of yes, so everyone is what we welcome. And this whole initiative, this whole startup of CollarCamp, it started with this one thing, that let us utilize the resources which are available with us. Let us be, little more conscious into what we are doing, be it spaces which there are a lot of spaces these days which are available. There are a lot of choices people have, but then having the same guest repeatedly coming to you is something which means a lot to us also, and that is what the whole communityship all is about. So, Nirmala, I understand you have a schedule in place. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And Aditya, there are certain things I would want to understand from you. So thank you very much, Nirmala. And
Thank you.
yes, I would invite you at our property
Sure,
whenever we
sure,
can.
sure,
Let's
sure.
make it happen.
Someday, sure,
Yes,
someday. Thank you for having us discuss, and all the best to Collar Camp and the entire
thank you.
community. Yeah, bye.
Thank you,
Bye bye.
Nirmala. Take care. Thanks. Yes,
Yes, Priyanka.
Aditya. Yes. So you have been involved into different moments like be a NASA project or planting trees, and even there's a lovely calendar which has been put up wherein this one simple thing you can do every day. Could you share one unkind situation you have handled, and how has it been with you?
Oh, very interesting. I mean, I only walk into unkind spaces, and I purposefully walk into unkind spaces because that's where I test myself. Uh, because I am somebody who has a very interesting choice to respond the way I want to respond, right? And let's say if you were 10 minutes late here, I had two choices. Either I would have said that sorry, not happening today, you were late, or I say that hey, you were late. There is something which is more important for you in life, which is not me. There's a way to start the conversation, right? Where I can choose to take it the way it all started because I want to feed my ego. And the other way is that I don't care about who I am. I'm nobody. If the person is late, it is that person's problem. I am supposed to leave at 4. It's on me. I leave at 4. Right. So having said that, when I mean walk into any corporate space, I think I started my career in a corporate setting and working with one of the big four in this in the world. Uh, Situations go that people do not care about the human being and they slog for 18 hours, 16 hours, 15 hours. That's very, very unkind. And, day in, day out, uh, you probably start losing connect with your friends, your family. And I think that is something that probably hits us very late, but we realize it immediately. So it came to me, in 2 years' time that I have been actually disconnected from all the things that I really, really appreciated. So I have just been uh, for one organization taking all their nonsense and bullshit. After doing a 12-hour work, there is no thank you. There is nobody acknowledging the time that you have spent. And on top of that, they try and come and criticize the kind of work that you have done without even giving you